The new data showed that privately owned makers of cars, machinery and other products stopped expanding in September, as export orders dropped the most in more than 2 years. At the same time, output by large, state-owned manufacturers continued to weaken. The data, among the first major gauges of China's economic performance for the third quarter, indicate that the US-China trade fight is beginning to take a bigger bite out of the growth of the world's second-largest economy. Until now, the softening of Chinese growth had largely been due to a domestic debt control campaign that curbed investments and consumption by companies and individuals alike. But since July, both governments have moved beyond rhetorical trade threats and imposed tariffs on hundreds of billions of dollars in each country's products. Related expansion across the manufacturing sector weakened in September, said Zhang Shengzhong, an economist at Segen Group in Beijing. Downward pressure on China's economy was significant. Such pressure, economists and government advisors say, will likely prompt Beijing to put in place more pro-growth measures, such as an easier credit policy and greater government spending, and to further let up on its drive to prevent its already high debt levels from climbing. So far this year, China's central bank has on 3 separate occasions trimmed the deposits commercial banks are required to hold in reserve. A fourth cut is likely, analysts and economists say, to spur lending and give the economy more oxygen. There's no doubt that the US-China trade conflict will affect China's exports and overall growth, Long Guoqiang, deputy head of the Development Research Center of the State Council, China's cabinet, said Sunday. Some will cut production, some will reduce the number of workers, and others may even shut down, he said at a news media briefing. China will adjust its monetary policy according to the impact of the trade fight on the economy, he added. The potential for more stimulus measures underscores the balancing act facing Beijing as it tries to defend itself from the U.S. offensive, while keeping China's economy from sputtering. President Trump has repeatedly boasted that the U.S.'s strong economy gives it a commanding position in the conflict. Since early July, the Trump administration has imposed tariffs on $250 billion of Chinese goods, and Beijing has retaliated with punitive taxes on $110 billion of U.S. products. Mr. Trump has also pledged to put more tariffs on an additional $257 billion of Chinese products, essentially subjecting all of the U.S.'s Chinese imports to such penalties. China's exports to the U.S. last year were about 4 times those from the U.S. to China, leaving Beijing running out of tariff options to hit back at Washington. The data released Sunday suggests the tariffs are already having an impact. The Caixin China Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index, which is heavily weighted toward small, private firms, fell to 50.0 from 51.0 in August, ending 15 straight months of expansion, according to Caixin media company and research firm Market. A reading above 50 suggests expansion, while a reading below 50 suggests contraction. In particular, the data show that Chinese factories produced far fewer goods for foreign markets last month. New export orders, though still in expansionary territory, slipped to their lowest point since February 2016, Caixin said. Another gauge of the manufacturing sector released Sunday, the official Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index, which is tilted toward large, state firms, slipped to a 7-month low of 50.8 in September from 51.3 in August, according to the National Bureau of Statistics. The reading missed economists' median forecast of 51.2 for last month. The official manufacturing index has been staying above 50 for more than 2 years, largely thanks to the government's effort to cut industrial overcapacity that has closed down mostly private factories but left state-owned plants intact. But the outlook looks gloomy even for the state firms now. The new export sub-index in the official gauge, an indicator of external demand for Chinese goods, dropped to 48.0 last month from 49.4 in August. External uncertainties have risen dramatically, posing further downward pressure on economic growth through early next year, said Liuzo Ezi, an economist at Bank of Communications. The only bright spot of Sunday's data is a strong rebound in construction activities, due to the Chinese government's recent efforts to kickstart infrastructure projects. Boosted by newly started bridges, roads and buildings, China's official non-manufacturing PMI gauge of business activity outside factories climbed to 54.9 in September from 54.2 in August, the Statistics Bureau said. Li Yaoqi and Ling Lingwei appeared in the October 1, 2018, print edition as trade fight hits China's economy.